Harley Quinn Season 3 was back again on HBO Max this week with a brand new episode entitled A Thief, a Mole, and an Orgy. I'm Cape Joel, and this is the video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, as well as shouting out any comic book Easter eggs or references I can find. So with that out of the way, let's get to it, shall we? So then, as we join the episode, Poison Ivy is still hard at work on her Eden serum, though things are going slower than normal, mainly because Ivy keeps getting distracted by the crew and their many shenanigans, including but not limited to the return of Jason Alexander's Cy Borgman, making the crew feel that much more complete again, or Harley trying to start a band with stolen instruments, or everyone seeming to want to use Catwoman's fancy Japanese toilet. We actually learn a lot about Ivy and how she deals with her problems in this episode. Instead of simply just coming out and telling Harley and the others to stop so she can work, instead she tries to blame it all on Catwoman as not to be a killjoy and not have to draw any boundaries with her friends and her lover. Once again, the Harley show really manages to excel in doing great character work on top of making funny jokes, and Ivy really seems to be the focus of all of that this season. She has so much raw power, yet she wants very much to be liked and fears people, even those close to her, turning on her. There's just something so tragically hilarious about a professional supervillain not wanting to be perceived as the quote-unquote bad guy in a relationship. You gotta wonder, too, if we're gonna see where this complex stems from for Ivy as the season goes on. Blaming Catwoman ends up causing a major domino effect, too, as now Harley thinks she has someone to rebel against, which is never a good idea. She ends up smashing all the security cameras in the place, which in turn bites the rest of the crew in the ass when Frank the Plant, an integral part of the Eden plant, ends up getting kidnapped while Harley and Ivy were away. Now, at the other end of the episode, we have Gordon, who is continuing his campaign to become mayor. Too bad that even in a coma, the old mayor is still tracking better with the people of Gotham. I like this scene a whole lot because we get to see Barbara and Two-Face essentially become the devil and angel on Jim's shoulder. Barbara, after all, being the only person in the entire show who doesn't hate Jim's guts simply for existing, but also actually sees the potential hero inside of him. But you know, because this is a comedy show, he keeps letting her down in funnier and funnier ways every time. Two-Face thinks that the only way Jim is going to win this election is if he gets a massive cash infusion, but in order to do that, Jim is going to have to schmooze with Gotham's richest and most powerful families. Also, a plus Henry Kissinger joke. No, he's not dead, he's just almost 100 years old. It's right around here too, these different plot lines end up meeting up. You see, Harley and Ivy have reason to believe that Frank was kidnapped by the famous Court of Owls, Gotham's oldest and most secretive social club, and their only way inside comes, surprisingly enough, courtesy of the Joker, who is still living the suburban dad life that he started at the end of last season. They make a great joke about how they teach long division now, which I'm sure came from the mind of an overworked writer-parent who has been dying to say this sort of stuff out loud forever. All I'm gonna say is thank God I am not in school anymore. Joker being helpful in and of itself is actually kind of an interesting twist. I don't think he and Harley will ever actively be friends or allies. Now, as far as the Court of Owls go, in the comics they were an ancient cult that controlled Gotham from behind the scenes, and most of that is still pretty true in the show too, but played for a lot more laughs and with a lot more Stanley Kubrick eyes wide shut orgy stuff thrown in for flavor. They were also only created in 2011 as part of the New 52 initiative, and I always thought it was cool that the Harley show wasn't afraid to grab some newer stuff to adapt. We can see that multiple characters we already know are members of the group, including Bruce Wayne, who Jim hilariously refers to as Owlman. That's funny for two reasons. One, because Owlman is actually a character that exists in DC Comics. He's the Earth 3 evil counterpart to Batman. And also, in that Court of Owls story from 2011 I was talking about, it was ultimately revealed that their leader was a new version of Owlman, and maybe also Bruce's long-lost secret brother. It was a whole thing. What follows is a hilarious romp wherein Harley and Ivy try and look for clues while the Owls are having their big cult orgy. Oh man, YouTube is gonna positively love these screenshots, aren't they? Know that if I get demonetized, I did it all for you, everyone. My favorite orgy joke is either Bane not being able to undo his complicated suit, or KG Beast removing his gun arm and replacing it with a giant dildo, because sometimes the low-hanging fruits are indeed the sweetest ones. Everything ends up coming to a major head, though, when Harley learns from Catwoman, who, by the by, brought Bruce along to the orgy, that Poison Ivy was lying to her the whole time. Which, even if it was ultimately to try and spare her feelings, it still makes Harley really mad. Ivy also learns from Cy Borgman that Harley trashed the cameras, meaning that the only lead they have to try and find Frank is a picture of a butt with a distinct mole on it. What follows is the two lovers having their very first fight as a couple, an important important milestone in any relationship if you ask me, one made only even more awkward when Ivy accidentally lets it slip that before her and Harley got together, Ivy and Catwoman had actually been hooking up. Ooh boy, that sure changes the Cobb Squad dynamic now, doesn't it? Harley's certainly not getting the tattoo now. To think before we thought Ivy got weird around Selina because she saw her as an aspirational supervillain and a cooler friend than she was used to, but now we know things run a little bit deeper. Here's the thing though, turns out Ivy wanted more from her relationship, but Catwoman did not. Instead of leaving though, Ivy just kind of stuck around, and while she blames herself frequently for all the time that she lost on a dead-end romance. It is, however, one of the many reasons though Ivy is so grateful about her new life and new love that she's built with Harley. She knows that it feels different and she wouldn't want to sacrifice this kind of happiness for the world. In the end, the two don't end up finding what they're looking for, but thankfully their relationship is still strong because learning how to argue and how to make up is also a very important part of any healthy romance. Likewise, Gordon also didn't get the money he was after, but he might have actually gotten away with something much better. After bumbling around blind without his glasses, he accidentally snapped a ton of pictures of Gotham's richest and most powerful and compromising positions, which Two-Face knows full well may be exactly what they need to win this mayor's race. And so that was A Thief, a Mole, and an Orgy, another funny episode that manages to balance jokes and storytelling in a way that is becoming Harley Quinn's gold standard trademark. If the first two seasons were all about coming to understand Harley's internal struggle and what makes her tick, then season 3 is really all about Ivy. As it would turn out, despite being the team's den mother who seemed to have it more together than anyone else, she also has a world full of issues just bubbling under the surface that she battles all the time. Also, hey, not to be an armchair Arkham psychologist or anything, but does anyone else feel that Ivy may have a touch of borderline personality disorder? I mean, all the telltale signs are there, right? She thinks people hate her, she's had a string of failed relationships wherein she gave more than she got, self-destructive behavior, the occasional mood swings, it's all there. Or, I don't know, maybe I'm the one projecting on this one. You also gotta love the continued spotlight being shone on Harley and Ivy's relationship. We saw them fall in love, and now we get to see how much actual work goes into maintaining a partnership like theirs. Honestly, it's sort of the mature, intimate, nuanced sort of stuff that most live-action shows don't bother to deal with, let alone superhero animated comedies for adults. But hey, there it is. Overall, I thought this one was another winner for season 3.